our first question was, well, for everybody here, all of Rose is here. This is Byron Legardy. Byron was a grad student who was down at Eastern Illinois University. I didn't come to Eastern until 1968, 68. Byron, when were you there as a grad student?
I came there in 68.
Came there in 68.
Yeah.
And how did you arrive at Eastern?
Well, I had been teaching in Chicago and kind of disenchanted with what I was doing at the time, and decided I was thinking about.
One second. Okay, we got you, bro.
And I decided, one of the police officers at the school I had been teaching, I said, well, you know, you should come over to the police department. I said, well, I'm not going to be a policeman necessarily, but maybe I could work in the forensic lab. So I went down to apply for that, and that's prior to me coming to Eastern. And at the time, you know, stuff was like blacks didn't get into that area of the police department. But they told me, said, well, you don't have enough science background, chemistry in particular. And that was my major. Wow. And so I said, well, I'll go back and get my credentials, all the classes that I needed to take in order to be to qualify for the forensic lab. Well, of course, I did that, came back, and tried again to apply for the police department. And then they gave me another song and dance. So it was one of those things. But while I was at Eastern, I met these fantastic young men. And
but before you go there, Byron, before you go there,
okay,
because you said 1969, so you was in grad school. So everybody tried to date me. You dig what I'm saying? Everybody at Ridgewood. He won the first. So Byron,
yes,
where did you go over at in undergrad?
Yes.
Well, in undergrad, I went over at Iota chapter in Chicago. Okay, Iota, and that was in '65.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, ouch! My bones is creaking.
Bones, man. Legs, everything.
I wasn't born then. My mama wasn't born then. There you go.
Yeah, but that was it. And, you know, I had met Omegas, I had met Kappas and Alphas and so forth, but I was so impressed with Omegas, what they stood for. And the fact is, friendship is definitely essential to the show.
Speak that, brother.
Yes.
Okay.
Believe that.
And so it was just down-to-earth people, you know, no facade, just real. And as I said, that was it. I just decided.
So when we were at Eastern, how many African American students were they attending the university as compared to non-African American
it was
students?
a small number. I would say maybe 4 or 5%.
Yeah, I know when I was there, it was like 40 blacks, African American students against 4,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
Non-African American students. And one of the things that was impressive to me when I got there is because you took the initiative to try to start a line, and you started a line there. How difficult was that for you to pull off?
Well, it wasn't difficult because I had made up my mind that, as I said, I met these 6 gentlemen, and I felt that they were well qualified. They showed all the signs and the posture for being a good Omega, and that convinced me. I talked to each one of them individually and asked them questions about their background and what they intended to do, so forth and so on. And I said, you know, there's a fraternity that's waiting for you. And I think you should consider Omega Psi Phi as the fraternity for life for you. And they took the message and ran with it.
So you actually created the first Lampapos.
That's absolutely.
On Eastern Illinois University.
Illinois University.
For sure.
That's
All right.
right.
So you had what did you have a pledge? Like was that a pledge kind of party or occasion, or
Well,
the guys
it
just
was-
gravitated you because you were so charismatic? What's the deal?
Well, all of that.
I heard that.
Smoking like a true dog. Smoking like a true dog. All right, bro.
Yeah, but we started an interest group, so to speak. Well, it was an interest group just to kind of get a feel for sorting out whether again they wanted to do this, and from that we started the Lampados Club.
Wow.
And they met weekly. We talked about organization and how to make things happen. We also met weekly to start a step show, and they practiced. Because I said, you can't mess up when you go out there on the line. And so we walked out. They walked out in front of the cafeteria, and they started doing their job.
Well, we remember the jugs and we remember the collars. Was that your initiation?
That was always a part of the format for
history.
Yeah, for being a Lampado. Later on, now they didn't do it early on, but later on when they were actually near the brink of becoming Omegas, that took another stand. It was another part of the initiation format.
So these 6 brothers. So who took them over the sands?
I did.
Individually?
Individually.
Were you soft, or what? Was it burning sands, or was it kind of like how did you keep the fire going? Nobody else from Iota came down?
No.
Wow.
Just me.
Damn, they had it easy.
Just me.
They had it easy. They did it easy.
Every Iota chapter brother's daughter was out. The chapter brother came down and took the second line. I'm like, how many Iota brothers there? I thought you said it was one.
Right.
Yeah, I did it myself, and for at least 6 weeks, they had a step show. They had a different routine every week, and it came out. And near at the time they started the 3rd week, folks they just came out of all corners of the university at the time because they knew what was happening, and they knew they were going to see a show, and it was precise. I couldn't have been happier, and they were happy about it because they had a lot of pride. They took a lot of pride in what they did, and coupled with that, they had study sessions with just them. I got them together. I said, hey, this is what you need to do in order to cross over.
That was that component of scholarship.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
And so they studied together. My whole intent was to create the bond that I knew was necessary for them to carry on, and then you all are the result of it.
Well, that's a fantastic feat, especially coming in '69, being on the second line. It was a very high expectation, and the bar was set very high.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I went through about 17 brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And they started calling me Rez the Pledge because I was pledging so long. It was like everybody, Rez, when you going to go over? And so on this, July, what's the day? 28th?
28th.
Of 2013, we acknowledge you, we receive you, and we appreciate you because of the standard and the bar that you've set. And we hope that any other brothers that come through Tau Theta chapter from this day forward will uphold that same standard as far as excellence in terms of scholarship, perseverance, uplift.
And man,
and those essential elements that makes a frat and makes a man. Because the frat don't make the man.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
man makes the frat.
That's right.
And we want men.
That's right. That's all we want.
The word of God says, many are called, few are chosen. Final words, bro.
Well,
and one thing, bros, I'm sorry. The brothers active with Iota, Chicago IOTA chapter. Another IOTA brother here, one right here.
Right
So
here,
you
come
brothers
right
want to come, grad chapter, IOTA.
And he's a life
All
member.
right, life members.
What's your life member number?
308.
308. Man.
And mine is 2050. so you,
But you have.
But what does that mean? What
that's,
308?
that's the number. He was
That's
a
the number.
308th brother who got bought
Yeah.
a life membership.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And when I decided to become a life member, it was $300. That's what it cost. And I had just gotten married, and I said, "Wow, how am I going to afford $300?" And I had to pay it off in quarterly. And it took me a year to do it. But I had set my mind, I said, I'm going to be a life member, and so be it. Yeah.
I want to emphasize one other thing. A lot of us who came through Tau Theta, we dedicate ourselves, because Tau Theta basically, not Tau Theta, Eastern Illinois University was almost like a teacher's college.
Yeah.
A lot of people gave their life to educating young people in Chicago. I spent 33 years in Chicago public schools. Byron, how many years have you spent an educator?
38.
Give or take a few.
Yeah, a few. Yeah. And,
How many other brothers out here have been in education and have given themselves the education?
Bigger high school.
High school.
11 years.
High school, yeah, but you know,
13 years.
it's interesting because once that policeman issue I got past that, I went back and I enjoyed being with those youngsters. I mean, I had matured to to the point that I saw them as young black men and women that needed a model, which I hope I provided, so that they could be successful. And as I say, I had some of the top students in the city, some of the top, and I see them from time to time, and they thank me for being tough on them, because I demanded it, just like these 6, I demanded the very best of them. But they thank me for it, and as I say, I get those kinds of accolades fairly often.
Well, we're going to extend any other questions that anybody else have for Byron. I've get exhausted on mine, but
I
maybe
just have a
other
question.
brothers. Hold on a second. Maybe other brothers who want to ask or ponder and ask him a question, and to pick his brain a little bit. Chuck.
Okay, just a question in terms of the where the chapter has been and where it's going. What can we do to maintain it and to further enhance it with the brothers that are there now?
Well,
Let me say this, because there are brothers who were not part of a grad chapter, but possibly we can start an alumni association that could be inclusive of all brothers.
at Eastern.
From Tau Theta chapter, Eastern Illinois University.
Okay, yeah. Well, again, the selection process is key if you're talking about helping young potential Omegas that are undergraduate. You really, I mean, you can't abandon the things that have been historically in place to attract young men, good men, that are going to work hard for the fraternity. And so that's the first step. Secondly, at the grad level, organizing a graduate chapter, and I think that's what.
No,
what
my question was as opposed to a grad chapter, an alumni association that will be inclusive of all brothers who have went through the chapter.
Yeah.
A grad, an undergrad,
Like an advisor.
an alumni association.
Well, Chuck, let me ask a couple of questions. Let me ask a
Okay,
couple
go
of
ahead.
questions. So currently, Tau Theta has how many active brothers on campus?
That I don't
I
know.
think approximately.
So it's kind of hard to answer
No, some brothers
that.
know that. I don't know that.
I think that
Very.
we could probably.
It's 11, 12.
Rick knows.
I think that an advisory kind of board would be the start, and then from the advisory board, it could then reach out and set some goals and some other things to develop this alumni association.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because you just can't say, well, we're going to create an alumni
No, I'm
association.
just
You create
suggesting
an
ideas that
advisory
can do
board
that.
for the
Sure,
alumni
sure,
association.
sure.
So your question is would Brother Legardy serve on that board?
That would
Well,
be.
And would
you know,
would you hit that
I
board?
would be glad to do that, but I think the most effective way to do what I think you're trying to accomplish is to start a graduate chapter so that you have those men act as liaisons to the undergraduates and help them identify a structure that's going to maintain and perpetuate Tau Theta. That's what I was, because you want to work with, an alumni association is one thing, but you should be, how can you advise and direct young persons that might not even be Omegas to become Omegas if you don't show that you show your card? I have my card, okay? I have my life membership card. So it's one thing to talk about it, it's another thing to do it.
So
And
you
if you
said
do it,
get your life membership card.
that's right.
All of us should get our life membership card before we can talk about being on
Well,
the advisory
just
board.
not necessarily a life membership card, but a membership card. If you
membership
aren't
card.
active,
Then we might be
then
quiet.
you know, where do you go? I mean, if you're not active, so you've got to show. You have to lead by example, and that's so. An alumni association, a graduate chapter.
Starts with becoming
There
a
it
member.
is.
So
Yep.
an advisory or alumni association starts with everybody becoming. Nobody can be
Active
on that
Exactly.
Advisor without
board
having
or
a
anything
card.
else, alumni association without being
Financial.
financial.
That's right.
Sure.
That's the most important thing. And nationally, what are some of the? I'm gonna ask another question. I can go on forever. You know that. What are some of the goals that Omega Psi Phi Fraternity has as it relates to our current conditions and our current? What should encourage us to become current members? Other than that's what we want to do because I'm a Omega for life.
Right.
Well, you became an Omega for a reason, okay? And the problems that exist are not new problems, but it comes from apathy or separation. So again, you have to become energized to actively say, I'm gonna make a difference. That's what it's all about. Okay? I have never been unfinancial. I have never been unfinancial. I have, for X number of years, with the exception of the last 3 years, been active with Iota Chapter. My brother knows that. Okay? And so it's only because of some circumstances, mainly my mother, 97 years old, okay, that I had to take personal responsibility for her best interest and her well-being. Okay, she's gone now. She died Monday.
No, sorry to hear that.
So, but my task is not finished
I feel you.
as far as she's concerned. So, but to say that, to summarize it, I'm coming back, and I'm going to exert all the energy that's needed to turn Iota and keep it going in the right direction. There's some I mean, you have that. You have that. And I don't care what chapter you belong to, you have that kind of thing.
Undergrad or grad, you still
It doesn't
have
matter.
those issues.
It does not matter. Yes.
Okay, well, again, in light of there are brothers who are facing financial difficulties, challenges of life.
Okay.
How do we include those brothers who may not be able to be financial? This is what I'm trying to include brothers in the brotherhood process without alienating anybody.
Well,
Without them saying, well, you got to be financial.
So what does national offer?
No.
Well, but I'm just saying, if they're not financial, if you don't have a job, for example,
What does national offer?
Just use
Does
it as an
national
example.
offer some type of
Here's what you can do. And this is what I know has been done over the years that I've been a member. brothers have come, they've been welcome, and they haven't been financial, but they come and participate. They can participate in any of the activities as far as promoting the fraternity. I mean, there's going to be a Bud Billiken parade in Chicago. Okay, you could come and dress, you know, and show that you are an Omega, not necessarily a financial Omega, but an Omega, and your desire is to still project a positive image of the fraternity.
Right, principles of the fraternity.
Okay, you can come to meetings. You're not turned away. You're not turned away from any meeting. Okay, and your voice, if you have something good to say and a good idea, your voice will be heard. And in Iota, it's gonna be heard if I'm there. Okay, and you know, and because we've had some issues. As I said, we've had some issues. It's okay. And when I was very active, some things came out that I knew were wrong. And it didn't matter if it was the bosses, vice bosses, whoever it was. I challenged them to think about what they were trying to do. So you can do that. You know what's good for the fraternity. You know that. You should know that. Contribute.
Anybody else got a question? Anybody else want to ask?
Well, I can't summarize things because I am so touched by just being here and having met all of you, and it's something that I thought would happen, but never as a young person, never envisioned it to grow like it has. And I would say to each one of you, financial or not, always be respectful of the fraternity, always exercise and express the four cardinal principles, because those are undying. I mean, those apply to life regardless of whether you're an Omega or not. So if you do that and be proud of your fraternity, hey, you fulfill my aspirations by doing that. I sincerely mean that.
We want to thank you for your comments, Brother Legardy, and I'm sure that the brothers who share this video with other brothers as smokers, so they'll understand that the four cardinal principles has not escaped us. We still stand on those four cardinal principles from 1911, and we'll stand on those four cardinal principles as long as this frat is in existence, and that the young brothers who are considering joining this frat, we want you to have it not just in your head, but it's got to be in your heart. If you're not ready to exemplify and to demonstrate those four cardinal principles, you're not Omega man. You're not Omega material.
And you young bros, one way they used to do that, they used to go through your butt to your heart. Now you just got to go right to your heart, from your brain to your heart. You know, we can't go through the butt no more. That was the easy way. You know, but for me to testify, no, I'm saying, you know, that used to be, but for me to testify, when you pledge and you pledge right, man, I don't care what these guys done to us, and they did some stuff to us.
Yes, they did.
And we love that. And you grow to love them brothers because they knew how to pledge. You know, when you pledge your guy, man, no matter what you done to him, he knew that you had some love for him. So that's how you conduct yourself with your pledges. So when they go over, they ain't trying to hide. You know, they're gonna come around.
Love you.
Where they at now? I don't see them.
Knocking on your door, the same day, say, "What's up, bro? I got my shirt on. It's all love."
Right.
And that's my line, brother. That's 74. I got cleanest of gardeners here. That's my Shippy and Mac, dog 3. We got 3, 4, 5.
We just missing Harold.
Yeah.
Harold's not here too.
That's Brazil 4. We got 2 in the house.
We got 2. I'm speaking on my line.
We got 2 in the house.
Rick.
All right, well, again, we just want to celebrate all the brothers here today. We want to celebrate all the brothers that are going to come tomorrow and in the future. We love you. Peace. God be with you.
Amen.
All right. All right.
Mr. Smith.